Jesus said, follow me and I'll make you fishers of men. Who told somebody about Jesus this week, or at least had a conversation with somebody about Jesus? Okay, yay. Yay. Okay, good. All right. And for those that couldn't raise your hand, what are you going to do different this week?
There's got to be an opportunity.
Well, you can call somebody. That's what you can do. Yeah. All right. How about reading your Bible every day last week? No? Oh, all right. Good. Way to go. And if you were reading your way through the Bible, you would have been in Leviticus, Numbers, and Matthew, and you would have come across the answers to these trivia questions. The first one was, once a year, the high priest went into the holiest of holies. What was that day called? Day of Atonement. Very good. And then what occurred every 50th year in Israel?
The year of Jubilee.
The year of Jubilee. All right. Y'all are on fire this morning. In the New Testament, what sign did Judas tell the chief priests he would use to identify Jesus as the betrayal took place?
A kiss.
It was a kiss. Absolutely. All right. So we are in chapter 17 of the book of Revelation, and there's a lot of horns and heels and bowls and junk going on here and horns, but I don't want you to get lost in the weeds, because what is being described here, if you'll remember, last week we talked about the plagues being poured out, the wrath of God being poured out. This week we're going to study who it is that the wrath of God is being poured out on. Okay? So we have an introduction in the first verse of chapter 17. Somebody read that for us.
One of the seven angels who had poured out the seven bowls came over and spoke to me. Come with me, he said, and I will show you the judgment that is going to come on the great prostitute who rules over many waters.
Well, there were seven angels that poured out bowls of wrath on the earth, and one of the seven came over and spoke to John. John is in the middle of this vision that he is seeing of things that were, things that are to come. And the angel spoke to him and he said, come with me. All right, now stop and think about that for just a minute. What if that was you and an angel came up to you and said, come with me? What would you think?
My first reaction to being an angel, I would probably
Be terrified to start with.
Be terrified to start with,
Usually
okay.
what they start with is don't be afraid. That's usually what they start with, don't be afraid.
Yeah. Well,
The angel didn't say fear not.
no, he didn't. He didn't.
But see, even though they say fear not, you're still going to fear it because it's something you're not used to seeing.
Yeah. All right. Did he have his wings on? I don't know if they're detachable. So he probably did.
Has he got a halo or horns?
So this angel comes up to John and says, "Come with me." What would you do if an angel came to you and said, "Come with me"?
How do you know it's an angel? Yes, sir.
Like I said, did it have
I would
halos or
obey.
horns?
I would obey.
I don't know, I think
I'd
for
say-
the very
Where we
first
going?
second, you might just be kind of like,
What?
you know what I mean? Kind of
I
thrown
would,
off.
I
you know,
would
just
question
saying,
myself, but then I would obey.
You would
Yeah.
obey, yeah, but at
Yeah.
the very beginning, I think you would just be like,
And I think,
I feel
Go-
there's a
You
trick
asked
coming
if it
through.
wasn't an angel. Usually, if it's not an angel, you usually have that discernment within your body to tell whether if it's good or evil.
right, and angels, I think they're self-evident. An angel of God. And then he says, come with me. So we would probably do what John did and go with the angel. And so he says, come with me and I will show you the judgment that is going to come on the great prostitute who rules over many waters. Now, we've been repeating this over and over again in our study of the book of Revelation. It is pregnant with symbolism. And we don't want to get lost in the bowls or the woman or the many waters. What we want to try to figure out is, who does she represent in this world? Okay? What do you think?
I think she would represent sin.
All right, sin. All right, and I think it is sin wrapped up in earthly authorities.
Especially your desires.
Okay, systems. Okay, so seductive, corrupting world systems that are opposed to God. Okay? So one of the things that we face as Christians, and I'll say that our brothers and sisters around the world face is antagonism from those that don't belong to God. Jesus told us, he said, in this world, you're going to suffer persecution. In this country, we've not faced a great deal of persecution, although it's ramping up pretty rapidly. In the UK this past week, a pastor was arrested for telling what the Bible said about certain truths.
Almost like the Middle Ages, when you spoke against the king with the Catholic Church, you were arrested or you were killed if you spoke about what that Bible said.
Yeah. So you wouldn't think that in the UK, which used to be the heart of evangelistic missionary work, they sent missionaries all over the world. And now they're arresting preachers for preaching the truth.
That's the devil.
Okay, so this is the system
Times have changed.
that is being talked about here in this world. You send your kids off to college, they go off being conservative, reasonable human beings. They come out of college tree-hugging druids, wanting to move to a blue state. Okay?
Keith, even in this country, people are being arrested for praying outside of abortion clinics.
That is true. Yes,
It's coming here really quickly.
it is coming here.
Fasten your
It is coming here. Fasten your seatbelt
My
because
spiritual father, who gave me away at my wedding, who I've known for quite a while, they were just at an abortion clinic, and I mean, there was 25 girls that were coming just to get an abortion. I mean, some of them turned away from it, but some of them still went in. He says he couldn't believe the amount of people
We
that
got
went
a
in.
place up on Ross
Yeah.
Street,
Yeah.
toward the new square that brings the ladies in and tries to get them to have that baby and they'll get them adopted.
Yeah.
If people just can't have babies, they just want one bad.
Yeah.
So this prostitute represents the kings, the leaders, the premiers, the tyrants, dictators, even presidents of countries that have been intoxicated by power and immorality. So that's who this prostitute represents. So it's a spiritual reality in this world today that we have to recognize and acknowledge that sin is seductive. We have to be on guard all the time because that seductive pull draws people away from their purpose, their mission, their ministry. Just in the last month, there was a preacher drawn away by the devil who murdered his wife. Big news, blamed it on an intruder. But I want, go ahead.
You could finish your point. I want to say that all is not lost. If God in Africa, there's God is really doing amazing things in Africa. As you see, like let's say Europe fall, even in the United States fall down in Christianity, Africa is becoming like a revival there. You see African preachers now evangelizing foreign nations like pagan nations like Indonesia, Pakistan, where you see thousands of people coming
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of people. God, if you look outside the United States, like you see what God is doing in Africa, He's doing an amazing work. As these other places that used to evangelize, like the Britain, you can see like a lot of revival coming.
Yeah, revival in Africa. That's amazing and wonderful news.
Yeah.
And there is revival breaking out in other places, in Iran, of all places. But, it's being pressed down and persecuted. So there is a seductive power at work in this world today. It reminds me of the sirens of mythology, that the voices lured the sailors into the rocks to their destruction. And that's the siren song of seductive reality around us. And we have to turn a deaf ear to that to maintain our own sanity and our own equilibrium spiritually.
But when you have that spiritual awakening, it's like your eyes are open. You can see everything. You can see where the people are trying to bring you down because of the devil, because they say they're Christians when they're not. You can see that. You see right through
You can see it. You can see it. The danger is that we may not see all of it every time. And there, how many times have you been blindsided by temptation that just came out of nowhere? Okay, it happens. Okay, verse 2.
The kings of the world have committed adultery with her, and the people who belong to this world have been made drunk by the wine of her immorality.
Yeah. So the people that don't know Jesus are willing participants in the system of seductive corruption that is opposed to God. They are willing participants, okay?
Even if you're like borderline believing God, can you still be that willing participate in something like that?
Yes. Yes. Outside of knowing Jesus, we are subject to be sucked into that completely. So it says that those that belong to this world, that's a euphemism for people that don't know Jesus, okay? And it says they've been made drunk by the wine of her immorality. What does drinking too much do to your wisdom?
It makes you stupid.
It makes you stupid.
Foggy for sure.
It does.
Washes it away.
It removes inhibition. It blinds judgment, and it erases lines of restraint. So they've been made drunk, so they're capable of anything. Made drunk by the wine of her immorality. That's why in this world today, evil is called good. Certain evils are called good, okay? And righteousness, us as Christians have been labeled by many as the greatest threat to our society.
You
Okay.
want to know the most interesting thing is a lot of the kids nowadays are calling themselves they, them, and all of that. You look in the Bible and you read it, it says that the demons of the world will call themselves they and them.
So they committed adultery, or they, by the way, the term adultery, it says they have committed adultery with her. In the Old Testament, if you worshiped an idol instead of worshiping God, it was called adultery. Okay? Spiritual adultery. So here, again, not to get lost in the weeds, but we're seeing it today all around us with people worshiping evil ideas, evil concepts, pledging allegiance to the craziest things that spring up out of the pits of hell. So they're committing adultery spiritually. All right, verse 3.
So the angel took me in the spirit into the wilderness, where I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast that had 7 heads and 10 horns, and blasphemy against God were written all over it.
When you think about a wilderness, what concepts come to mind?
Trees.
Desert?
Yeah.
Okay.
Trees, rivers,
Okay.
middle of nowhere.
Middle of nowhere? Okay.
Desolation.
Desolation? Okay. So here we are. He's being taken in the spirit into the wilderness. And I think this barrenness, desert, I think is probably more of the concept here than like undisturbed nature, trees and rivers and so forth. I think it is desolation. And there he saw this woman, and she is sitting on a beast, and blasphemies against God were written all over it. I saw one of those. We were having dinner Wednesday night. Guy wearing a hat. The hat had basically blasphemy on it.